Hey, welcome to my video. Thanks for watching. So to start this off, we're going to turn off the remote. And then we're going to move on to turning off the board. Make sure the battery's off. Press the power button once and then hold. And now we're going to start disassembling the mast and the wings, starting with the wings. Now I just set these aside for later. They take the least amount of time to dry, so I leave them for the very last after everything is washed and dried out. So I'm just going to take the mast out and set it aside on the tarp. This could be a beach scenario in some situations, but luckily I'm with some grass. So now I'm going to flip the board over and remove the battery. And I'm going to lean it up against my car so that water can drain down. I like this position too because if there's some sun, I can also face the foam towards the sun and it can dry out a little bit faster. And to start cleaning, I start with the board because it takes the longest to dry, the way it sucks up the water. So what I use for a water system is a little Hudson sprayer. I got it free from work in the trash. But it's just a little hand pump, you can adjust the nozzle and just spray down the whatever you're working on. So I give it a quick rinse and then I'll start scrubbing it with a brush. I use a 3-inch brush and I'm just following the grain of the foam of that standing platform. Try and get everything. After I scrub it, I give it a quick little rinse in case I loosened anything up from brushing it. After I rinse it again, I'm just going to flip the board over and do another quick rinse and scrub again. These 18-inch stools I got, they work really well for platforms. Use a little toothbrush for the hard to reach areas. And then I'm done scrubbing, I'm gonna rinse it down again. And with this, I feel I've rinsed the board down, but I'm still gonna give it a final good soaking with some fresh water. I use half a jug for the bottom, I use half a jug for the top. And with that, I'm done cleaning the board. And so like I said, with this board taking so long to dry, my technique, I'm going to shake it out right here, try and get as much water as possible, and I'm going to start air drying it right away. I take my little mattress inflator and I use a stand, a little tripod with a clip, and I aim it right into where the mast meets the board. There's a small crack, and when I blow into there, it just pulls out a lot of water. You can't see it in the video, but you might if you see a little bit of water splashing out. But if you do it in person, you'll see that if you just point it right in that crack, it just blows out a ton of water. And you just want to keep that air flowing on there as much as you can, because these boards, they take forever to dry. If you try and just wipe it down with a towel, you're gonna have this board, drying out in your house for 5-7 days. The way I do it takes maybe 3 days and 2 days. It's pretty dry. So I'm gonna start cleaning the battery because that takes the next longest or the next shortest to dry. I don't know. But rinse it down, scrub it down with brush, toothbrush in the hard to reach areas, do the top side, flip it over, do the bottom side, scrub it, rinse it again. Now what you might notice underneath my board and the batteries is a piece of chloroplast. It's just a plastic cardboard, and it's just another way to keep the board out of the dirt or the sand if you're at a beach. Keeps the batteries clean. And so once you're blowing out that board, you want to dry up that water that collects. And then also, from time to time, you want to flip the board, because what I noticed is that the water will pool on the bottom and then it'll drip down once you flip the board over back to its nose. It'll kind of pool up in the bottom, and then that flip, it just kind of lets it pull itself out right out the crack. And then just flip back over and put the air back. It'll start pulling a bunch of water out again. Slowly, it will get pretty dry. So I already cleaned the one battery. I'm gonna go to the next one. Do the same process. Rinse it, scrub it, rinse it again, flip it over. This can be a really tedious process, but I think I have a good system, pretty efficient. Not ideal, but you make the best of what you got. Looking at that board, seeing if it's still going. Probably see a little bit of water in there. So after I'm done cleaning these batteries, I like to use centrifugal force to help pull out every little bit of water that I can. Like the more water you can get out, the fastest. The faster you can get the most water out, like it just dries because it just collects in there. So if you can use centrifugal force to just get a little bit extra out, do it. Save you some time. Otherwise, it's just gonna be gravity pulling out and it'll take a lot longer. And so, with my system, I use a Hudson sprayer, and it works. But I would like to upgrade with like a pump, so I can not have to refill it like I was about to. And I realized, hey, time to dry the board. Flip it over, dry it down. Gotta keep working on that board from time to time. It's not quite a set it and forget it type of deal. It'd be nice if I could have a hose or something up for my house, but I live in San Francisco, so there's no parking, there's no backyard, front yard, garage, stuff like that, so I gotta clean my board before I take it home. So I've got the batteries clean, and then I'm gonna move on to the mast and start cleaning that. And the batteries are just drip drying right now. The way I stand them up like that, that lets the water just drip out the bottom. The mast, it doesn't take that long to dry out, so that's why I do it after the batteries. Just rinse it down, rinse out the connectors. You gotta get in the inlet hole too. The water cornhole. Yep, check the board. Try it out. Probably had a bunch of water in there. Just some good old elbow grease. Although the mast takes less time to dry, it's a little bit trickier to clean because it's just got so many little crevices. You gotta get in between the wings and the blade. gotta find just the right angle to get all the water out, because it sometimes hangs up in that little crevice. You gotta shake it out, tip it on its nose, tip it on the upside down, right side up, shake it out. And so you'll notice that I haven't really wiped down too much on the board or the batteries, but I like to wipe down the mast because I think it helps dry it a little bit faster. I don't focus too much on the batteries or the board because I know they're going to take longer, but I like to wipe down the mast because it does dry a little bit faster, and just getting that extra surface water helps. And you gotta check on that board every once in a while. So this is pretty dry, but it's still just got a little bit of water in the little crevices, the cracks, and all that. But I'm not gonna worry about it just yet, because these batteries take just a little bit longer to dry, so I'm gonna start drying those. And what I actually should do here is flip the board around so that the phone is facing the sun, because since I'm not going to be drying out that crack, it would just help a little bit to dry out that foam inside the bottom of the board. You'll see me flip it around a little bit though, as I realize. And so when I blow out these batteries, I focus on the buttons first, and then I'm just wiping down whatever comes to the surface and is easy to wipe down. Blowing in the screw holes, I'm blowing in the cracks. I'm starting from the top, and then I'll bring it down to the bottom. And I get into the electrical ports too. I see how I'm just working it down instead of doing scatter. What I notice is I've tried to just use the blower only, and it just takes way longer than just taking a rag real quick and wiping up the water. Use the blower to get it out, and then just wipe it down. Pushing all that water down, because we're going to keep this battery facing up with the handle up, and that way the water just keeps dripping down to the same spot. If you rotate it too much, I think it'll just mix up the water, and you want it to be able to focus on one spot, collect on one spot, because it'll take forever to dry otherwise. So I'm working this bottom. I like to go from the middle to the corner and just wipe it. Go from the middle to the corner. If you try and go back and forth and left and right, I don't think it's too effective. It's better to try and go from the middle out. And after a certain point, it's just like there's not as much water coming out. I can be moving on and just get to something more effective. So I get to the next battery. I would have liked to have gone to the board and maybe flipped it or done something to it. Got a little occupied with the batteries. So it's the same process as the next battery, you know. Start at the top, pull out the screws, pull out the electrical port, wipe it down. I don't really focus on wiping down the phone because it's more of an air dry type of deal. If you wipe it with a rag, it's just not going to be very effective. Just the same thing, along from the corner, from the middle to the corner, middle to the corner, wrapping it down a little bit. One of these batteries was a little bit more wet than the other. And so I spent a little bit too much time on the batteries before without checking on the board, but getting back to it, blowing out the crack. I might flip it. I can't remember if I did or not. But I know for sure I flip it over to get the top of the board facing the sun. See? There I go. Oh, better let the top of the board dry on the sun. Might be a little bit better, right? So working on drying the mast. You just want to do the same thing, just blow out on the cracks and the crevices, wiping down what you can. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm fucking up. Let me just change my system. Let me move shit around. And I don't know, but I think eventually I just realized I fucked up and I better put it back to how I'm gonna do it. Like, what are you doing? Like, okay, this is stupid. Why did I even do that? There you go. So you want to blow in the screw holes, blow in the cracks. Some days it gets really windy and you want to make sure if you lean your board up that it's not going to fly away. Something to watch out for. Or your little mast bag and wing bag and your people and supplies, they might fly off into the distance. But yep, just the same deal here, blowing in the cracks. electrical cord, rub it down what you can. If you are on sand, you gotta be extra careful too, because if you slip and you drop it in the sand, it'll suck. You just gonna have to start all over and re-clean it. Once again, check on the board, because the more you check on the board, the faster it will dry, I swear. If you just let it sit there, it's just not doing anything. That water is still sitting there, so you gotta get that out so it dries faster. I think I skipped a flip here just because, I don't know. So I'm blowing out the water in it, and I sometimes cover the one hole and blow into the other, and try and get that whistle, you know? When you hear a whistle, you kind of know that it's really pushing hard to that area and just letting everything air dry. Sometimes it takes just the right angle, just enough pressure on the hole to cover it, and it works. But I normally just do like 2 passes on the wing. On the mast. And so basically on my first pass on the batteries and the mast, I'm just trying to get as much water out as possible and not try and spend too much time on it, because I know it's just going to take multiple passes. So I moved back to the batteries, and I'm noticing that it's a lot less water, if any, coming out of the buttons. You see me get through that really quick. There's probably almost no water coming out of the electrical part. Just a little bit on the seams, Most of it is right there, just like the gravity's pulling it to the bottom. So that's probably where I'm going to spend most of my time. All my time. Most of it. Just working that same system from the middle to the corner, from the middle to the corner, left, right, up and down where I can. Checking on the board again, and I'm blowing that crack, wipe it down. I know some people have coated their board with, what is it, some kind of spray. I just don't have the confidence in it that there's still gonna be water trapped inside and just have nowhere for it to drip out. I don't know. It does suck though that this board collects so much water. Plastidip, I think that's what it's called, Plastidip spray. So we're doing the same thing, second battery. There's not much weight at the top, it's mostly just pulling up on the bottom. Second pass goes a little faster. Yet again, check the board. Spray out the little mast area, up down. I don't know how many times in a drying session I rub it down, but I feel like it's never enough. Since I'm using the air mattress blower, might as well let the top of the board soak in the sun. Second pass in the mast, it's pretty good. Pretty dry actually. I'm noticing not much water is coming out. You can tell because I don't have a rag in my hand yet. Right here where the propeller cover it meets the body, a lot of water soaks in there. And you'll notice if you dried it really well or if you didn't, because some salt might form right at that crack as the water is seeping out. But I'm noticing right here that it's still pretty wet. It still pulls some water out. I probably could have done a little better job in the first pass, but I was just trying to be efficient versus being super detailed. You can tell I'm noticing water. I can feel it blow into my hand almost. That's why I had my hand covering it. I can feel that water, the moisture in my hand. I'm spending so much time there. But you know, eventually it can only do so much. When I get home, I prop up my bag with the fan in front of it and just let it dry out like that. But you really gotta try and be efficient and get as much water out. I mean, that's about it. If I keep blowing it, there's not much water coming out. I'm just, let me move on. It's pretty dry. batteries a couple more times, a couple more passes with the blower. Still haven't even touched the wings because they just are so easy to clean and not ignore them. All I'm worried about is this board. So back to the batteries. I'm gonna work this on that bottom because I know the top is pretty good. I think this one was pretty dry. A little bit came out, but it was very marginal. See, if you notice my blower is kind of shaking around, you gotta be careful with that. Yeah, see how quick I just move on from that battery? I think this battery was really soaked up a bunch of water or something. But it's still blowing out a lot of water here. I mean, that's just the name of the game of cleaning this board. You just gotta keep going a couple more times, a few more times until it's dry. You know, it might be dry when you walk away from the first pass, second pass, but you might check it again, third, fourth pass on the batteries, and it's still pushing water. How much time I'm spending there, it's just still pushing the water. I think at this point I'm satisfied with the batteries, the dryness, and that I'm just gonna let that blower sit in the board until I start packing everything up. I'm finally gonna get to the wings. I'm just gonna rinse them down real quick, scrub them, wipe it down with a rag. You don't gotta put too much effort into it. These are just juicing. Less than a minute, you're done with one blade. One wing. The wind is really kicking today, you can see. So I probably could have put that wing in the bag for my car, but I'll put it back in the tarp so we go. Put it away later. I don't even know if you have to scrub these very well or even a little. But I do it just, I don't know, it's like washing a dish or something. I know this whole process is a little bit tedious, but if you try it like this, you might like it, and if you do it a few times, it just becomes muscle memory. It takes about 45 minutes. It takes a lot longer than the first time if you just haven't done the steps enough to know what's next. day I used both wings. I used the Explorer wing. I wasn't having that much fun with it when I threw the patrol wing on. Had more fun carving around and stuff. Yeah, see how I grabbed that better? And, just want to do a third pass on this, just because I know he's pushing it over. Yeah, I really want to thank you for watching this 45-minute video. It's just me trying to help everybody out. If you need some help how to clean these boards, I know it's tough, but you know, you gotta have a hobby for something, you know. Me, I really love snowboarding, and this is just a great supplement for that when there's no snow, because gotta stay active, gotta have fun, gotta have an outlet. I always think, what's worse, driving up 3 hours to go snowboarding and 3 hours back, or 45 minutes to an hour cleaning my board. It's comparable, but I don't know. So with this, I'm just gonna again set it up with the fan on it, and I'm pretty much done, you know. I'm gonna start packing up my wings and my batteries in my car, and just go home. And then once I'm home, I put down a trash bag, and then I put a big towel on that. I stand the board up against the wall and put a fan in front of it.